Thanks, Joel. You always go over the things that I was planning on going over, but that's okay. Make it more time for questions. But first of all, thank you everybody for being here today. We are obviously looking forward to sharing our 2025 journey with each of you. I was going to talk about one thing real quickly. We were supposed to start preseason on August 7th. And due to some coaches getting involved, they had an emergency waiver that allowed us to come in on July 31st. We didn't find that out until July, so for all of the spring and most of the summer, we thought we were coming in on August 7th. We decided as a coaching staff to kind of split that difference, and we had our team come in on August 4th. So I want to give a shout out to our team for being willing to come in earlier than what they expected. Also want to give a shout out to our strength and conditioning coach, Rachel Ronan, who she is the only coach during the summer months that can have contact with our team. And so we rely a lot on her. We appreciate everything she does for us in terms of getting our kids ready for preseason, physically, mentally, emotionally. She does a lot with nutrition, so she's just the best, and we wouldn't be able to do things without her. Would also like to give a shout out to our administration for all the prep that they've gone into coming into the fall, especially through this crazy athletic world that changes daily, but really appreciate everything that they're doing to get us fans in the stands for the fall and ready and prepared. And then Megan Malley, our athletic trainer, she also is with our team in the summer, but puts in a lot of hours during that time, but obviously during preseason as well. And then my biggest shout out is to the group right back there, our faithful staff, Jason, Kim, Sydney, and Michelle. I will tell you that being a coach, there's many times of the year that is a grind, but preseason to me is one of the biggest grinds. It's exciting and it's fun, but it is a 24/7 job. Those people back there, they're not only on the court with practice, they're planning practices, we're at meetings, we're planning team building, we're at meals. It is literally 24/7. So I can't thank them enough for all the energy and time that they put into this. Our team is better because of them day in and day out, and would also like to thank their families because without their families being supportive, it would never happen, and they have some awesome families, and so grateful to have them and have them on my team, I guess is the best way to put that. I'm going to talk a little bit about our team. I'm proud of how we've come into preseason. As many of you know, we graduated 5 seniors, all that had a lot of production on the court. Also, all who I think brought very powerful and unique leadership qualities to the table. So when you're losing a lot like that in those different ways, it's a challenge. We have a lot of challenges that we have to work through. When you look at the makeup of our team, we have 18 student athletes. 12 of those have been on our roster for 1 year or less. So that means we only have 6 that have been here for more than a year. And so that presents challenges, but it presents a lot of opportunity as well. It means to me that there's a lot of young people that can step up early and maybe fill in some roles, even leadership-wise, that they didn't know that they would be able to early. It means our upperclassmen have the challenges of bringing a lot of people on board with what our program is all about and what we want to be for this season. So really proud of our team and the way that we're working through that. Not just trying to get better at this skill and technique, which we definitely are, but we're trying to figure out who we're going to be and what we're going to be about and what that leadership looks like. So really proud of them and the efforts that they make. We did have our purple and gold scrimmage this last Saturday already, so it was a nice opportunity for us to get on the court in front of people. I love the crowd that we had. We had a great crowd there. You could tell early that we were pretty nervous. I think our team did a real good job of working through those nerves, kind of settled in a little bit, thought we got really scrappy. I think one of the things we talked about as a coaching staff, we did have a lot of errors. That's both in attacking, serving, communication errors, things that you would expect, especially for a young team that's just trying to figure it out, but also for a first time on the court in front of people. So love that opportunity to kind of work those things out. We get another opportunity in my mind to work some of that out as we head to South Dakota for an exhibition match on Saturday. This is even a better opportunity because we get to all be on one team. We get to try some things in an environment that is very much match-like, but it doesn't count towards your record. So we'll be trying some things that we're maybe have questions about. It gives us a better opportunity to see what some of our strengths and weaknesses are. Obviously, you can have a decent feel of that in your practice gym, but until you get out and play other people, you really don't know exactly what that is. So get a chance to do that and then have another week of preparation before we hit into live action. I will talk just a little bit about our schedule. I know Joel mentioned a lot of that. We do start out at home, which is awesome, but it is with a bang. We have number 13 Arizona State as our first match on the 29th, and then turn around and play South Dakota State, who last year I think was 27-3, returned basically their entire roster. So two really tough matches at home, but looking forward to that and them being at home. Turn around, doesn't get any easier, and play at SMU, who is number 10 right now. Also, we'll have the University of Washington, who's Big Ten, and then Stony Brook. And just a side note on Stony Brook, their head coach is Kristen Belzing, who is a former standout setter for us. She is awesome at what she does, just has done a great job at Stony Brook. I just think she's one of the best young coaches in the country. And then 2 years ago, she added Amy Held, who was a standout libero outside hitter for us. So we're pumped to be able to see them. Maybe not play against them. It'll be a little bit weird, but very excited to see them. So looking forward to that tournament. And then on September 9th, our only home match of September. To scheduling, that is me, but there's a lot of that I can't control, just so you know. September 9th is our only home match in September. It is against the Iowa State Cyclones, so we are very excited to be able to get that going again. We haven't been able to play them over the last couple years due to some scheduling things, but finally get them back on back on our schedule. They return a very talented squad. Also have some really awesome transfers and freshmen, so they'll be very good. So obviously we're hoping for an incredible crowd to welcome and battle the Cyclones. Next we head to our high-level rotating tournament that we started last year. This year it's at Creighton, who is ranked number 12. We will play number 4 Louisville, and then Rice, who had a great end to their season last year and also return most of their players. And then round out our fourth weekend at Wisconsin Green Bay against Tennessee Tech and Western Michigan. So I look at it as a schedule full of a lot of challenges, but full of opportunity as well. We have to learn a lot during that preseason. I think we've given our team a lot of opportunities to do that, so we're excited about that. We know this conference season is going to be a battle. We don't have the preseason all-conference picks yet, which I'm kind of surprised at that, but that's not out yet. But we are probably one of only 2 teams that really lost a lot when it comes to seniors and graduated a lot. A lot of teams returning, players also getting some good transfers in, so it should be a battle. I think, Joel alluded to some of the things with our conference changes, but last year, or last few years, we've had an unbalanced schedule. Well, this year it gets even, in my mind, more unbalanced because we do have that conference tournament that he was talking about and how it's different sites. And because of that, we've had to start the conference tournament a little bit earlier. So instead of playing 18 matches, we will be playing 16. And so when you have an unbalanced schedule, the less matches you play, I think the tougher it is. Obviously, it's all about matchups. So we do have that. We lost Missouri State, as you all know. So we have 11 teams. So we are no longer in travel partners, where we've been playing. Our matches were Friday, Saturday. Now you're going to some Friday, Saturday, some one-match weekend, some midweek matches. So it looks very different in terms of the conference regular season as well as the conference tournament. So things we're going to have to figure out, even just travel-wise, how we want to handle those things. But looking forward to what we know is going to be a really tough conference season. I am going to just open it up for questions. I have a hard time just going through and talking about each player, so I just want to answer the questions that you all have. It can be about certain players, our schedule, anything we've talked about so far, but I will just open it up for questions.
How do you feel about the schedule in particular with a slightly different conference schedule, still a Pac-9 conference, but the first time other than COVID where you haven't had to double up on any single day? Where you're at specifically with that mix of you want opportunities to play, but it's kind of good that there are no more of those double days and maybe some more rest opportunities.
Yeah, I think, we're still trying to figure that out. I think the rest is great, and most teams are never going back to playing 2 on the same day. But I do think there is a different kind of thing that wears our team out a little bit because now you're playing over 3 days. So before you're playing over 2, so the travel, now you're going to places for 4 days now as opposed to 3. So I still think we're working through that and trying to figure that out because there are teams that will just only play 2 teams at a tournament. You know, that there's a lot of teams going to that. So trying to figure out is if 3-day tournaments are still what we want to be doing. We want to because we want the number of matches. Like this year, even with our full schedule, we still have 2 more matches we could play. So it's trying to figure out the right balance between, you know, how much travel you're doing, how much playing you're doing. You need practice in the preseason as well. So we're still trying to figure that out.
Coach, you know, when you talk about your youth, you really look at the back line. Your defensive specialist, you have sophomore, redshirt freshman, and 2 true freshmen. Where is that group at right now? And their preparations to face the fire.
Yeah, and you know, especially when you look at what you lost in that position, a lot of veteran with Grace and Aaron there. And I think the good thing is Grace and Aaron were really good at teaching our younger people. So those that have been in our program have had great role models in those areas. Obviously, Taryn has been here the longest. She's had some playing time, mostly coming in as a serving specialist. And then you have Jaden, who's had a spring with us, so I think has really developed well. The other 2, Peyton and Soph, they've just gotten here, so this is their first couple weeks as a Panther, and I think it takes a little bit of time to adjust to the speed of the game. I always get a kick out of defensive specialists come in saying, I used to be able to serve receive, now I can't. But it's the type of serve they're seeing. You know, they're seeing bullets every single day, so it makes you feel that way. But I thought all of them did really well in the scrimmage, which is exciting to see. Again, another great opportunity being able to see what they're like in a real match situation against South Dakota. But then you also have to look at other veterans. You know, Cass has been a part of our passing. Even though she's not a backcourt specialist, she will be a big part of our defense and our serve receive. So there's other people that are going to have to step up and help some of those younger people that haven't had the experience to work through some of those things on the court for sure.
You mentioned the youth. Because of that, do you manage your preseason any differently, or is the standard and you got to treat practice the same way?
Yeah, I think what was nice about being able to come in a little bit earlier, I think this, of all the years, it was a great year to be able to come in earlier because there are a lot of things that I think we could go over a little bit in more detail where if it's a shorter time period, you're just trying to get through things very quickly. I think when you have a more veteran team, coming in earlier probably wouldn't have been as good because, you know, they're more seasoned to what they're doing. So I think that's been great. But I think we treat it the same. I think, you know, as coaches, our expectations have to change a little bit in terms of just learning. I think, you know, we probably did more things this year, like working on blocking bases and things like that we probably should have done. That's on me more in the past, but we're actually focusing more on it because we know some of the youth that we have. So breaking things down a little bit more than what we would normally. But you know, eventually you have to get to the game because that's what we're going to be doing here really soon.
More broad strokes question. You know how college sports has changed in the last 10 to 15 years. There aren't really any borders with the transfer portal, and any young player can call any coach in the country. So just the question is, players within the state of Iowa, you have 11 of them. Why is UNI in your conference still a destination for most, not all, but most of the top high school players in Iowa?
Yeah, I think, well, what we love about our program, I think if we can get the recruits that we're looking at to actually come and on campus, I think to visit, I think that it's really evident what kind of culture that we have here, and it's the coaches, but it's also the student athletes. I think our student athletes sell our program in a way that's very genuine and true. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. They'll talk about the hard, but you get a good feel of what it's really like in the family atmosphere, because I think, you know, kids want a family atmosphere, but I think that a lot of programs can talk about that, and I don't know if it's exactly like that, but I think when you come here, you get a real feel of what it's like, but yet there's also a very high expectation of what we want to do on the court together. There's a high expectation of how we want to grow these young women, not just as athletes, but in all aspects of life. And so I think that we have a really good selling point when we can get them here. And I think that's been huge. Our staff back there works really hard at identifying the right fit for our program, because I think that's a big part of it too. It's chasing the right people, and we have great people to do that, and they work really hard at trying to get those kids here on campus.
and staying here. How big or how much of that is just you recruit people who like to stay in one place, and how much of it is the culture you were talking?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a combination of both. I think it's recruiting the right people that are coming here for the right reasons. Obviously, we're not going to sugarcoat what we don't have, and if you're chasing the bling, that's probably not going to be us, but I think we have a lot of things that, if you can sit down and even talk to parents about how we can grow these young women from start to finish, and they will be challenged. They'll have expectations, but they're going to be supported through that. They're not going to be just a number in a day and age where I think very much it can get very transactional. You're not going to get that here. For one thing, we don't have the resources right now to be transactional anyway. So I think that if you can show that when they get here. I mean, obviously there are reasons to leave. Playing time can be a huge one. If you're in your third year and you think you're not going to play, maybe that's something that you want to do, is try to find a program where you feel you can get into. But I don't think anyone, as of right now, I feel like people would not leave because of the culture or because they're not treated right here. And I just think in this day and age, that's a really positive thing.
What does Lindsay Oldendorf bring to the table? And even though she was limited in the spring, how good was it for her as a transfer to at least be here physically during the spring itself and at least around the program?
Yeah, I think, the bummer part of it is I think it was still good for Lindsay just to be around and to see different things, but I think our team obviously got to know her in other ways, but just lost kind of the opportunity to get her to know her as a player on the court. But I will say that Lindsay has worked her tail off to work through her surgery and get back, and has really been getting after it in the preseason right now. So I think her experience, she's had a lot of experience on the court. I think she just brings a different level because of that. So that is another position that we're pretty young, and we have some young people in that position. So I think that's been really helpful. She has a lot of really good instincts that I think she can teach some of our younger kids as well.
Steve, do you see any freshmen seeing a lot of time this year?
Yeah, it's hard right now to say that for sure. I think there's some opportunities for freshmen to step up, and I think we're still trying to figure that out. And I think the hard part is, as the rule still sits, you play them for 1 point, and it counts as a year. So you have to be pretty sure that that freshman is going to help you. We're hoping for that rule change that everybody just gets 5 years, and if that happens, it will help a lot to know where our freshmen are at. Because, like I said, it's hard. You come in 2 weeks, you got to be ready to compete at a level that is just so incredibly different than anything you've ever done. The pace of the game is hard, but we do have some potential for freshmen to make a difference.
Losing so many experienced players, how would these, younger players that maybe haven't had as much experience kind of taking the next leadership step?
Yeah, I think we have I would say that our 2/3 seniors and our 4 juniors have just done a really good job of taking control of the leadership, but also allowing people to step into leadership roles as well. So we have some younger kids. Reese Booth was on the court for us last year in a setting role, and just her position in general allows for some leadership. So allowing her to be who she can be and help with the leadership side. And then I think our leadership group understanding, what individually their strengths are. We always say we don't want you to be somebody that you're not, but you definitely have to find ways to get out of your comfort zone, because if everybody just stayed true to who they are and stayed in their comfort zone, you're probably not getting everything that you need. So who's going to push out of their comfort zone a little bit, maybe find something that we need leadership-wise that's not happening, whether that's within that leadership group or it's a younger player that can help with that. So I think it's just a lot of working together. There's not going to be one person that is going to take this team and grab them and go. It's going to be a lot of people working together, figuring things out. And we'll still be doing that during preseason. Our goal is to be challenged and pushed in ways that forces us into figuring a lot of things out, and then hopefully by the conference season we've figured out the things that we need to do in order to be successful during our conference run.
In a team full of veterans last year, Caitlin Sellner was probably one of those breakout stars. If you think about it, she had 100 blocks in a season, which is a lot. And where's her game gone? What, because that's a young group, she's going to be the leader there. So.
Yeah.
I've seen from her.
For sure, yeah, and I think, her just getting more comfortable with understanding that she is going to be the leader there, so, her really working on the vocal side, just taking control up there at the net, taking control of our younger kids in that position and, showing that what she's capable of doing. I think, it's a little bit different for her because, her role last year was it was a strong role, but lesser. Like people might not have paid attention to her because of the people that were next to her. And so now, her being a veteran player, she might get more people paying attention to her. So trying to work through that. But again, she's somebody that really has to hone in on what her strengths are and make sure she's doing that well. And I think, just obviously working hard at taking control of that front row will be huge, especially when we get into match time, because we all know it's a lot different in a match than it is in practice. And she's one of the few that has been in a college match.
How on earth does Kiana Landers get here, not only from Chandler, Arizona to Cedar Falls, Iowa, but from, going to Cal State Bakersfield and now ending up at UNI?
Yeah, well, we had a former, I won't probably say names, but a former person that worked here in the department, worked in exercise physiology, Robin Lund, I'll just say who it is, and he now works for the Detroit Tigers, pitching coach, and so he is best friends with Kiana's parents, and so it started there. I got a text, I don't know if this kid's any good or not, but she's amazing, her family's amazing, so that's how it started, and now she's here, which even after that text, I didn't think that would be something that happened, but it was really cool, and she loves it here. She's been around the world, their family's lived a lot of different places, and she's just brought a lot to our team. She hasn't been feeling the best, so is just pushing through preseason. So excited to get her healthy, and yeah. So,
and at 100%, what might her strengths be as a middle, whether that's offense, defense, or anything else?
yeah, I think she is somebody that I think we struggle a little bit with our slide. I think she's somebody, when she's feeling good, can be one of our best slide hitters. I think she has some good blocking instincts, but still trying to figure out our system and the pace of the game. But I'm excited for her potential for sure.
Who do you anticipate as your biggest challenges in the Valley?
For sure, UIC. They basically return their entire roster, I believe. Illinois State will be strong. Valpo, crazy good. They were so young last year and return everybody except for the one outside hitter. I mean, I really, from top to bottom, I just think everyone is going to be really solid. There's some that, have new coaches, so I'm not exactly sure what their systems will look like and how their system will match up to ours. I think that's one of the, usually you have the coaches that stay, the system they run, how your matchups are against that kind of system. But we have a lot of new coaches, so just knowing how they run their program and, what kind of offense and defense they're going to be doing, I think makes it a little bit more challenging and a little bit more unsure of that.
Are we going to see a similar rotation at center with Reese and Sydney?
That potential is definitely there. I think they both, obviously they did a great job for us last year. I think, we're looking at needing some pin attacking options, and so in order to do that, having three hitters at all times might be the best thing for us to start with. You never know. I never say anything for sure, but wouldn't be afraid to run a 5-1 if we needed to. So it's just kind of trying to figure out what's going to be the best. One of the things I didn't talk about is we do have several players, our pins, we have people that can literally play both left and right, and we'd feel good about it. We have middles that can play middle and right and feel good about it. So I think it's just the challenge for us to try to figure out what that best mix is going to be, but also knowing that we have some players that can come in if somebody's struggling, or if we feel like somebody else would be a better matchup against a different opponent, that we'll be able to use that and have people that are ready to come in and be in those moments.
Of the girls that redshirted last year, who are maybe ready to step up? Isabel was hurt all last year. Kalia was, got some action. Who's
Yeah.
most ready though?
Yeah, I think the cool thing is, I think that class that redshirted, the freshman class, I think that all of those players have the opportunity to really step in and help us this year. So when you look at Maren Bixby in the middle, she just had a great spring for us, and I think she's definitely ready to step out there. Like you said, Kalia had some time last year, but she's really had an awesome preseason, and if she can keep that going, it's definitely going to be somebody that we will rely on this fall. Who else? Belle. You know, I just am so proud of her because she's somebody, when you come in, have an injury right away, and you're a freshman trying to figure it all out anyway, and then you're injured. Probably one of the worst times to be injured just because you don't know any better, don't know a lot of things. And so really proud of her road back. And, you know, I wouldn't even say she's 100% yet, but she's really good. She's somebody that we're definitely going to rely on and need for this fall. So it's great to see those kids. They've had good springs where they've worked hard. And like I said, we're going to have to play some young people for sure.
You had Cassidy, who had this huge step up in terms of like swing, just so many more from her sophomore year versus her freshman year. And I don't want to forget Lily, who also made that
Yeah.
All-NBC second team. It's one thing to increase the numbers on the stat sheet, obviously, but how it goes to take the step forward, both juniors, take the step forward on the stat sheet as well as being leaders in a team that, what you mentioned, 6 players you said had been here 2 years or more, right?
Right.
How do they take that step up? It's kind of a two-pronged thing.
Yeah, and like you said, those are two players that are going to have a lot of that weight on them. You know, they both had significant playing time. Both, I would say, they both are going to have different roles for sure, and not just in the production, but you look at Cass, her first year, she was mostly playing backcourt. Second year, she was playing mostly front row, some backcourt. So now this is the year that she's going to come in and she's going to be that full-on 6 rotation player that we have relied on a lot, like Kira, for the last few years. And so her ability to really separate parts of her game will be huge. You know, she's going to have to know if she's struggling one area. She's got a whole lot of other areas she's going to help us in. She's going to have to be someone, because no matter what, our passing pattern is going to be young. And so, yes, we're going to have a libero, but is that libero the one that should be taking charge of the passing pattern, or is it more Cass because of her experience? And then when you look at Lily, just the firepower that she can bring, her ability to put up a good physical block, but she's also going to be one of our better passers probably. So adding that to her plate. She's also somebody that I think, you know, does she play left? Does she play right? What's going to be more advantageous for our team? How is that going to all work? Will she play left sometimes and right sometimes? You know, so her ability to understand that we might need her in different spots because she's really good and physical at both will be important, because sometimes it's not just about what you can do, it's about what the rest of your team can do as well. But those two obviously need to bring a big part of the leadership as well, and they've been working hard, again, to push into their strengths and be able to do that.
For some answers you want, or questions you want answered on this Saturday when you play at South Dakota in the scrimmage.
Yeah, I think if you ask our staff, there's probably a lot of questions. I think that's just the hardest part, because you really don't have a good grip on your team. I think every year we've had an exhibition game or even a purple and gold scrimmage, it's like, oh, that wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it. Not bad, I shouldn't say it like that. That's not as much of a weakness as we thought it was. I don't know, that sounded really bad. But I think it's just being able to see, you know, how people are going to step up. Can you work through some of the nerves? Can we not be all about ourselves in the moment, because obviously everybody's competing for a position, everybody wants to do well for their team. You're gonna make mistakes. How do we respond to that? I think for us, what is going to be the right mix, because we do have some different places we can play different people. So what is going to be the right mix for our team? Because I think that'll be one of the biggest challenges when you have different kinds of options. So maybe some of those things, you know, can we still be scrappy? Can we still be in our strengths when somebody's putting a lot of pressure on our team? You know, how do we respond to that? Because those are all things you have to intentionally work on. It doesn't just, oh, we need to stay positive in those moments and it happens. You know, you got to figure out how your team's going to work together to make that happen. And we've talked a lot. You know, we had a great session with a guy that does some mindset stuff with us this morning, and talking about, like, when things are going bad, what are the things that are going to be really important for our team to hold on to and lean into. So you talk about those, but you actually have to execute those as well. It's one thing to talk about them, but another thing to actually do it. All right. Thank you very much.